We continue today's press conference with head coach Pascal Jansen. We'll start off with the room. Roberto.
Hi, Pascal. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Roberto.
As you examine the game again against LA, you had a lot of possession, but still had a hard time, it seemed, creating really good chances. Only one shot on goal, and that was a penalty. What did you see afterwards that maybe you didn't see, like during the game, that helps you understand what happened?
Well, we understood perfectly well what happened during the game. That's the tricky part about reading the numbers only. There's one shot on goal, but if you consider all the moments that we had in and around the box, you can add a few more to those possibilities without being big chances. But I think there's at least 3 or 4 moments with one Keats with the header, which is quite a big one. There's the one inside the box with Agustin Ojeda, which should have been on frame. And there's the moment where I think we should have had a second penalty. So looking at the numbers is one thing, but looking at the game and how much pressure and in and around the box has been is something completely different. But we're fully aware of the fact that we only had 1 goal scored in this game where we should have scored more.
Against Philadelphia, how does that, are there changes or you just keep on doing the same thing? How do you feel about that? Obviously a different rival and different setup defensively for them.
Yeah, but it's like I told you guys many times before. The opponent is something that we take along in our story, preparing ourselves for the next game. So Philly is a different team than Galaxy. Their play style is completely different compared to Galaxy. And that is something that we're aware of. And we're aware of the fact where we are as a team, knowing that all the things that we just discussed are still some things that we have to be mindful of because, like we said, creating moments is one thing, but scoring goals is something completely different.
Health-wise on the team, everybody come out unscathed?
Yeah. Quite good. There were some concerns, but there's no big concerns going into this game. We have one more training session to go, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll go over to the Zoom. First question goes to Christian.
Coach, good to see you again.
Hi, Christian.
How, in terms of Keaton's return, momentous has that been for the team, just in terms of the human element, right? Because when you hear sort of blood flow issue, I think a lot of people think a lot of different things because it does sound pretty serious. But to kind of have watched him go through the recovery process and to get back onto the pitch, just what kind of was that like to watch for you from a human standpoint?
Very joyful and very happy moment to see him being present again during the preseason and in full training. So on day 1, we mentioned specifically to Keats that he was no longer a patient, which is a clear statement to make sure that everybody realizes he's one of the team members again, fully engaged in team sessions, but had a long way to go and still is still on his way to becoming more fit and more healthy to play full games again. Like I said, it was good to see him on pitch as much as we did during preseason, but he's working hard to get back at the level physically and competitive wise in order to be that player that we all know he can be.
Just in terms of his on-field presence last game, he kind of comes in late in the match, and it seemed like he made a pretty big impact early on, a couple chances, set up a couple plays. I mean, especially, again, not to harp on the fact that Alonso Martinez isn't out there, but that's going to be a storyline. How important is it to see someone like him jump back in and to be able to have that impact when there's going to be a lot of guys that have to start contributing in that area?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like we just discussed with Roberto, we are fully aware of the fact that we are missing our number 1, number 9. But the fact is, during preseason, and that is something going into the Galaxy game, and that's coming out of the Galaxy game also. If we're able to add maybe 20% more quality, better decision making, we'll get the goals that we will score and create it as well. But then again, looking at the numbers, you see 1 shot on target against Galaxy, and that doesn't tell the whole story. So we're fully aware of that. So we stay away from the numbers. We take notice of them, but we focus on that final third, and where we are able to score more goals, we should focus on that.
Thank you.
Michael?
Hey, Pascal, it's Mike Andrew from Blue City Radio. Thanks as always for the time.
Hi, Michael.
Based on what I'm hearing about your assessment after watching the Galaxy game again, you seem pretty pleased with the performance. Obviously, you wish the team could do better on the execution and in the final decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sensing that you felt like you need to make any drastic changes to the lineup to shake things up.
Oh, well, that is something that has to be seen. We still have one day. We have our plan in place, but we also have a few other ideas on our mind. As I mentioned just now, Galaxy is a completely different team compared to Philly in the way they play, the way they approach their game, also the individual qualities. If you put the teams next to each other, are quite different. So that is something that we all have to take in consideration. But like I mentioned just now, the focus for us is always on our own team and just taking in account the differences that we are going to have to deal with playing against a new opponent.
Anthony?
Hey, Coach. It's been a rough travel week for you guys. Well, first off, it's been a rough travel schedule for you guys since starting on the West Coast, but the blizzard that came in, how difficult was it to keep the team not just focused but fit with the issues and losing those days earlier last week to be able to prepare for Philadelphia?
No, that wasn't difficult at all. We were not able to travel back just yet after the game, and that is something that the team around the players was very accurate on, making sure that we were informed on time. So we stayed another night in Los Angeles, which was okay because the facilities were perfect. So what we did, we rescheduled our week schedule. We went out to train the next day after Galaxy, had our traveling day on Tuesday, rescheduled our day off from Thursday to Wednesday, and came in on Thursday. And we have a 3-day build up towards this game. And based on what I've seen this morning and yesterday, the team responded like I know my team. I've mentioned that a couple of times last season as well. The bulletproof mindset becomes very active, and we reach good level in training, and we have one more day to go in order to play Philly, and that's what we are ready for.
Any more questions on the Zoom? Or sorry.
I have one if you don't mind.
Okay,
go for it.
go ahead, Chris.
Just kind of understanding that you're not going to give us the tactical plan, but when in terms of your lineup, in terms of how you kind of construct things going forward, especially early in the season, generally speaking, are you more inclined to go on a game-by-game basis where you're looking at matchups, or are you more inclined early on to let things play out and not make too many drastic changes so you let these guys get sort of that rhythm and that structure together?
Yeah, that's the interesting one, because you of all people know, Chris, that it's very important. That's what my approach stands for as well. The more you can play with the same players, the more chemistry you can create. On the other hand, we have to make sure during the week that everybody is prepared, and we have several scenarios in our game plan. So that is finding the right balance between all these aspects in order to have the best team available and focusing on the best performance possible.
Anthony, do you have another one?
Yeah, just one more if I can. So Nico Fernandez obviously started up top in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe to me, just for fans who sometimes, because they look at stats and they don't see how much he did for the team, can you help describe just how important he is to connecting the offense together, even if it doesn't show up on the exact stats that people look at?
Well, that depends completely on what kind of stats you're looking at. And we started the presser today with looking at numbers is one thing, but having the right interpretation is something completely different. So we're perfectly happy with how Nico fills in this role. Obviously, it's not the same as Alonso. It's not the same as Seymour. It's not the same as Thales Magno. But we do the things that are best for the team, and where Nico can have the most contribution to the team effort. And until now, he hasn't disappointed me or the team, not one moment. So this is something that we have in our toolbox, and it will remain in our toolbox and come out of the toolbox whenever we think it's needed.
Any other questions on the Zoom? You guys, please.